Today at the shed, we're gonna crack this egg open. This is my 4AG turbo, built in about 2010, and it's been in this series from the start. It was part of me building the Starlet for Race Wars, and seen a lot of service, and it's just started to get a little blow by, and I just thought, nah, I need to take it out and pull it down. That, and you know, like my flywheel came loose and stuff like that, so you know, it's probably a good excuse. So what I'm going to go through today is tearing this little sucker apart and sort of seeing what condition parts are in and seeing if it's salvageable or fixable, or the general health of it. So this motor now has done 53,000 kilometers since I first fired it up on December the 27th, 2010. And it was subsequently dyno tuned. It had a run-in tune, which is about 180 horsepower. Did that for about 3 months, and then it got wound up to about 280, and then I upgraded my diff to a G series in my red Corolla. And after I upgraded my diff to my G series, we wound it up. And it's been making mid 300s at the wheels since then. As I said in previous episodes, I had sold the car at one point. So for a couple of years, I didn't know where the car was and stuff like that. So it has come back to me. I have no idea of the history of exactly what happened during the time I didn't have the car. So I'm pretty interested. It still ran pretty smooth. It was nice, and it was still rev happy and all those sort of things. It never really made any noises. So I'm really curious to see what's going on inside here and see the general condition of everything that's sort of happening in there. Well, let's get into it. Okay, I've already loosened all the sump bolts, and I've loosen the windage tray as well, just to make it a bit easier, because yeah, I have been having a bit of a look, and it doesn't look too bad. Doesn't look too bad. You can see there's no sort of real damage here. What I'm going to do is take the oil pump off, and because eventually, you know, I'm sort of going to lift the crank out. So yeah, I'll go through that right now. Now these gears, notorious these gears for just hanging on, and I don't know why on earth I didn't tap this one before I installed it. Just, yeah, pretty dumb. So I'm gonna have to try and get this gear off, and yeah, we'll go from there. Don't worry, kids, I'm a trained professional. Alright, first I'm going to undo the con rods and yeah, let the piston slide down. Normally the head would be off and you can sort of push the pistons through, but yeah, head's still on. So we're just going to pull the crank, and then we'll do the head later. Into the bag. Now, one of these off, and oh my god. Here we go. 53,000 Ks of revving, street limiter 9600. This is what happens when you build your motor properly and you use the correct oil for that there. Let's grab another one. So this one, it's got a bit of a mark on it. Nothing too crazy. Crank is still fine. See, number one. So 4AGs have this thing where number one is just the worst. So 4AGs have this thing where number one cops all the shit, really. So let's wash this off. You can see it. So you can definitely see it's had a bit of a hard life. Although it's not too bad. Honestly, I'm pretty impressed. I really could put this thing back together and run it. But I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to get the crankshaft probably micro polished and the same size bearings, because these obviously seem to work. I'm pretty sure these were standard size ACL race bearings. They'll focus. These are ACL race bearings, so they're meant to have they're not flat, they're like go up like this and then across like that and then down. So when you put this main cap, you can wiggle a little bit. It helps the pistons float. You don't want to be caught. Okay, due to camera difficulties, I'm now on the GoPro, and yeah, we'll just keep going with this. So there's no specific order that you need to take your crank caps out, but I always do it outside in, just like you undo a head. So it's just good practice. Alright, so let's start from worst to what I presume will be the best. So we're definitely going to start with number one first. So, wow! Okay, there's a bit of material inside this relief. So you can see it's definitely sort of been under a lot of load, but not entirely terrible. The crank looks very, very good. I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, the one I think is going to be the best is probably going to be this one, the middle one. That's pretty good, honestly. That is pretty impressive. Not bad. So while we're here, let's check out our thrust washers. They're almost not even worn. What the hell? I have given this thing the absolute living daylights. And, alright, let's try this guy here. Yep, not bad, not bad. Honestly, pretty good. That could have gone better as well. But we're here now. Yeah, really good. Oh yeah, look. The bearing is hanging on really well. Oh, I'm pretty excited. This is very, very good result. And lastly, number two. Yep, really not too bad at all. This thing could have just kept belting on for a long time, hey. Man, this is real testament to tuning, you know. So very little to absolutely no detonation. This thing has been running for literally a decade, man, and years I did not have this car, this motor I mean, and hell knows what it could have happened to it. It just is real testament to tuning, to be honest. And yeah, Adobe TF Auto did such an amazing job of tuning this car initially and ongoing. It's had a couple of touch-ups, but only because our fuel changes from time to time, and you know, you got to move with the time, and 10 years is a long time to go without tuning. So you know, you periodically got to give it a bit of a tune now and again. All right, so I'll pop that down. Pretty much the crankshaft is really beautiful in more ways than one. My other thrust bearings, I might just fish those out. I'll have a look at those. There's a forward one. It's a little shiny. You can tell it's definitely had some load on it. So the thrust was definitely in tolerance. I checked the thrust with a dial gauge. This one is definitely seeing a bit of load on this one.
I'm good, thank you. Alice, thank you for joining us. I heard one of the experts earlier when they were talking about space travel, saying that space could kind of end up being like Star Wars or Trek. Have you got a hunch about where it might go? Or like a visit of a key threat or a child who's been used to seeing it from away over a decade. So you know, like, then that is in record Facebook Australia. I didn't agree with that. This isn't a really big company though that is really going hard and lobbying against these new laws, is it? Not at all. So only last week. Closed borders and lockdowns in some places. A lot of us have loved ones on the other side. And what happened you need? Well, James Cotil meets a group of friends trying some more old school methods of...
Georgia agrees.
It kind of seeing people in front of you and they're not near you. You kind of
But after that call, I'm depressed even more. Well, have you heard much about germ bubbles during the pandemic? If not, you might in the next week or so.
Alright, so now we got the head off. Everything's looking okay, except you can see this crusty stuff around here. Now, like I said before, you really have an idea of the history. So, what this is corrosion from coolant being mixed. So, I guess in the time that I didn't have this, I guess that Toyota Red was not used, because I always ran this motor on Toyota Red, and if I can get this head gasket off. So this is a Cometic 1.1 gasket. This was the original gasket that went in, and honestly the gasket is looking like really good. You can see the cylinder ring markings for the top of the ring. You can see that corrosion there on the metal gasket, and the milkiness, that's just water corrosion. So I guess I'm getting the block acid dip now. That's great. Something I hadn't thought would need to happen, but that's all good. That's why I'm sort of tearing it down. So the same is going to be with the cylinder head. I'm going to have to pull the cylinder head completely down and get it acid bathed and reassemble the head. So that's really awesome as well. So what I might do is put new valve guides in it at the same time and have the valve faces reground. Anyway, let's have a look at the pistons. So you can see that if I like wipe this piston off, now these are not CP, these are Ross pistons. So these were the original pistons that were put in the motor. You can see it's like a bit oily and stuff. This is due to the blow-by. You could see from the cylinder leakage. It's about 25% cylinder leakage, but the original markings are still there, and absolutely no signs of detonation and no signs of the edges coming off. So that's really, really, really good. Probably another side note is you can see how thick the deck of the 4AG is, where it's a closed deck design, unlike some Hondas where they have a gap. These are joined together. But yeah, let's knock number one out. Just push it out from the bottom. Hopefully, if I can get it out. So coming out sideways here. Oh, yep. I destroy my finger in the process. See where the piston is a bit worn. That will sort of polish off, and there's no real huge amount of wear to the piston. Even the rings are pretty good. Put this one A. So I've got here the cylinder head, and you can kind of see what I was sort of talking about. This white stuff is what you get when you mix the coolant. It's all gooey and stuff. It's not, not too great. So initially I thought it might be just in this top part of the water jacket, but there is actually, on the 4AG, there are sort of like ports that it goes through and into the head and fills the head. And if you kind of look down there a little bit, you can see there's a bit of shmoo in there. So I'm going to have to do is strip the cylinder head of the ancillaries, and probably take the valves out and stuff. And I really want to check the back of the valves to see if the stem seal's been leaking. And if the stem seal's been leaking, then I definitely will sort of get the head acid dipped and get all that stuff out of there. Otherwise I might try and clean it with light CLR or something. But I'm just going to take the exhaust manifold and the intake off and have a look at the back of the valves, and then I'll be able to tell if the stem seals have been leaking. Okay, I've got the inlet manifold off, and let's have a look inside one of these ports. As you can see, I'm still using standard ports. Yes, I made all that power on standard ports. So it's not actually too bad. Oh, that's a pretty good shot. Yeah, I don't think I need to do the stem seals, but I think I do need to drastically clean this head. All of the oil you can sort of see in there is because I had the motor tipped upside down with the cam still in. There's a lot of room for improvement in maybe cleaning up the ports, which is something that I should probably sort of get onto. Yeah, it's actually not too bad. I'm semi-impressed. So you can see I have a very, very fine machine job done on the head initially. Using the Chematic gasket, it worked really well. There is a lot of stuff inside there. Yeah, it would be nice. I think I might just use CLR or something. So I guess I take all this crap and all this crap, and I'm off to the machine shop. See you next time.